An unprecedented reunion is documented, featuring the families of Jimin and Jungkook coming together. This intimate gathering offers a rare glimpse into their shared world, captivating viewers with heartfelt moments and emotional exchanges. What happens when two worlds collide in the most unexpected way? For the first time ever, witness an incredibly intimate and emotional reunion as the families of Jimin and Jungkook come together. Prepare for raw, heartwarming moments that will leave you speechless and give you a glimpse into their shared lives like never before. Jimin stood at the entrance of his family's house, his heart pounding faster than usual. The familiar scent of his mother's cooking drifted from the kitchen. Soy, sesame oil, and the soft sweetness of rice steaming. He had been home a few times in the past years, but this time felt heavier, more meaningful. Because this time he wasn't coming alone. Behind him, Jungkook's quiet footsteps echoed on the wooden path. The younger man paused for a moment, taking in the view. The same small garden Jimin once told him about, the one where he used to chase butterflies as a child. His heart tightened. For years he had wanted to visit, but he never thought it would be like this. Not as Jungkook of BTS, but as Jungkook, the boy who had always found home in Jimin's laughter. When Jimin turned around, their eyes met. There was no need for words. The warmth in Jimin's gaze said everything. It's okay. You're home too. Inside, Mrs. Park wiped her hands on her apron as she heard the door slide open. Jimin, she called softly, expecting her son's familiar smile. But when she saw Jungkook bowing politely beside him, her eyes widened and then softened in recognition. Jungkook, she exclaimed, her tone filled with surprise and warmth. It's been so long. Jungkook bowed deeper, his usual shyness slipping through. It's good to see you again, Yomioni, he said, his voice low but sincere. Mrs. Park's heart melted instantly. She remembered him. The boy who used to visit during the early days, always polite, always watching Jimin with quiet admiration. She stepped closer and patted his shoulder gently. You've grown so well, she said. Come in. Dinner's almost ready. The two entered the house, the soft hum of conversation soon filling the air. For a moment, it felt like time had turned back. Before the fame, before the exhaustion, before the years that tried to separate them. As they sat down, Jimin's father appeared from the living room. His calm, composed expression broke into a smile. So you finally brought him home, huh? He teased gently, looking at Jimin. Jimin blushed slightly. Appa. Jungkook laughed quietly, scratching the back of his neck. I think it's about time, sir. Everyone laughed. It was the kind of laughter that filled empty spaces, that made the walls of the house seem warmer than they had in years. Over the next hour, the table was filled with food: japchae, grilled fish, kimchi made with care, and Jimin's favorite doenjang stew. Jungkook tried everything, complimenting each dish with genuine appreciation. Mrs. Park couldn't stop smiling. He eats well, she whispered to Jimin. You should visit more often with him. After dinner, as the parents chatted, Jimin and Jungkook stepped outside. The sky was painted in deep shades of indigo and gold. The world seemed quiet, almost reverent, as if it understood the weight of this moment. Your parents are amazing, Jungkook murmured. Jimin smiled softly. They like you. They always have. There was a pause, filled only by the chirping of crickets. Then Jimin turned to him, his eyes reflecting the soft glow of the porch light. You know, it's been years since our families were in the same room. I missed this. Jungkook nodded slowly. Me too. His voice was barely above a whisper. It feels like something we lost a long time ago. The wind carried their words away, but their silence said more. It was the kind of silence that spoke of years of shared struggles, of unspoken comfort, of nights spent beside each other when the world became too loud. The next morning, both families met again, this time at a quiet seaside restaurant owned by Jungkook's relatives. The John family was already waiting when Jimin and his parents arrived. The air was thick with emotion, a mix of nostalgia and quiet joy. Jungkook's mother rose from her seat the moment she saw Jimin. Ah, Jimin, she said warmly, opening her arms. The embrace was genuine, filled with affection and familiarity. It's been so long. You've grown more handsome. Jimin laughed shyly, bowing respectfully. Auntie, it's so good to see you again. When both families sat down together, there was an almost surreal sense of unity. Two worlds, once connected through their sons' shared dreams, were finally reunited. They spoke of memories from their trainee days, of sleepless nights, of uncertain futures, of how the boys had supported each other when everything seemed impossible. Mrs. John's eyes glistened when she recalled how Jungkook used to call home crying, saying Jimin had helped him stay strong. He always said Jimin was like his anchor, she admitted softly. Mrs. Park nodded. Jungkook was the same for Jimin. He brought out his laughter again even when he was exhausted. They grew up together, really. Their words lingered in the air, heavy yet beautiful. When lunch ended, the two mothers exchanged phone numbers again, promising to meet more often, not as BTS families, but as friends. The fathers shared quiet smiles, proud of the sons who had endured so much yet stayed humble. Outside, Jimin and Jungkook stood by the sea. The waves crashed gently against the rocks, echoing like distant applause. "Feels like a dream," Jimin said, staring at the horizon. Jungkook nodded. "Maybe it's a sign," he murmured, "that we're finally finding peace, not just as idols but as people." Jimin turned to look at him, eyes filled with something unspoken. Gratitude, affection, maybe even love that had long learned to hide behind friendship. He reached out, brushing Jungkook's sleeve lightly. "Thank you for coming." Jungkook smiled faintly. "There's nowhere else I'd rather be." For a long time neither of them moved. The sound of the sea, the distant laughter of their families, the softness of the wind, it all blended into a moment that felt timeless. It wasn't about grand gestures or dramatic declarations. It was about the quiet truth that even after all the storms, they still found their way back. Not just to each other but to the people who had loved them first. Later that evening, as the families said their goodbyes, Mrs. Park hugged Jungkook once more. "Take care of yourself," she whispered. "And take care of our Jimin too." "I always do," Jungkook replied with a smile that reached his eyes. When the cars finally drove away and the sea faded into twilight, Jimin and Jungkook stood side by side, watching the horizon disappear into the night. It wasn't just a reunion of families. It was a reunion of souls. A reminder that love, in all its quiet forms, endures through time, distance, and the weight of the world. And as the last light of day touched their faces, Jimin whispered almost to himself, "This feels like home." Jungkook's voice followed, soft and certain. "It always was."